In other news, in a very short video, to finish my second video, I always try to do 2 videos a day to keep my peoples up to date with what the hell's going on in this incredibly upside down world. Right is left, up is down. Right guard turned left. Sure, wasn't sure. Total U.S. debt surpasses $19 trillion, rises 8.4 trillion under one president alone. You may know him as Barack Hussein, I'm sure that's an American name, Obama. 2 months ago, again, thank you, Zero Hedge. 2 months ago, when we calculated that the U.S. would need a new debt ceiling of $19.6 trillion to last until after Obama's tenure, we may have been too optimistic. Since the increase in the hard debt limit of $18.15 trillion, which was raised at the end of October, the U.S. appears to be growing its debt at a far faster pace than we had originally expected. So Zero Hedge unexpectedly was too optimistic. And according to the latest public debt data, as of the last day of January, total U.S. debt just hit $19 trillion. This means that if the nominal U.S. GDP as of December 31st, which was $18.12 trillion, grows at the 1.2 rate expected by the Atlanta Fed, total debt to GDP is now on pace to hit 105% at the next GDP tabulation and rising fast from there. And I'll say it once again. Once that debt to GDP ratio crosses that 100% mark, it is good night, game over. It is just a matter of time before that it is game over. If your GDP is 18 trillion and your spending like a drunken sailor is 19 trillion, how's that going to work out for you? And since the spending just keeps going up, that's going to compound quickly. It ain't going to be a whole lot of, it'll be decades and decades before we have to deal with that. Oh, no. We'll be dealing with that very soon, simply because that 19 trillion isn't the real number. The unfunded liabilities, 50, 60, 70 trillion, whatever the actual total is, those are the real numbers. Social Security, pensions, other things. Magic 8 Ball is on standby right there. I don't need to ask any questions. I think you already know the answer. This means that, I already read that part. It also means that since his inauguration in January 2009, the U.S. debt has now risen by a whopping 78.9%, or 8.4 trillion. It was 10.6 trillion when he came into office, keeping in mind they pulled a fast one on us while George Bush was leaving office and Obama was stepping in. It was 9 point something trillion, and they raised it to 10.6. Indicatively, the Congressional Budget Office forecasts that the national debt will hit 22.6 trillion in just 4 years by 2020, and we will rise to 29.3 trillion by 2026. But I got a problem with that. And let me show you what my little problem is with that. 2008, a mere 8 years later, that's a lot of debt, right? 2008, again, there's that 9 point whatever it was. Obama takes office, 10.6 or whatever. Boom. So we have this $8+ trillion added in essentially 7 years. Well, let's just, be fair here. 7 years, you could say that. So if we doubled the debt, and let's give an extra year for a bonus. 8 years. We double the debt. 9 plus 9 trillion, 18 trillion. Is it a far stretch of the imagination to say that in another 9 years, or excuse me, 8 years, whatever the national debt is now, will double. And it's 19 right now. Round that off to, well, 38 trillion. That's what would happen. And let me just ask you a question. Does it appear that our Congress is slowing down on their drunken sailor-like spending habits? Or have they gotten a whole lot worse? Have we just passed the largest omnibus spending bill ever? If that tells you anything. Did it go down? No, it went up. And the next one will go up. And the next one will go up. And the CBO is going to say, well, our estimates were that by 2020. By 2020, you're probably going to be shocked to see what the debt is. Which is why 1988, the Economist magazine cover, you know who that is. Big giant gold medallion around the eagle or whatever the hell it is, the phoenix rising from burning American dollars. Gold coin around its neck. The new world currency in 2018, it says, something like that. 1988. They knew. Why? Because it's always been their plan. We ain't going to be no 30 trillion for... They're going to be taking care of this problem, I think, in the real near future. Why do you think the prices of oil have been destroyed? So that we can destroy the economies of the world and then save ourselves for last, and then we'll feel some pain, and then the whole world will have already been feeling pain. We've got a solution, everyone. One world currency, backed by gold and silver. No more fiat currency like we've been doing, backed by nothing. Because we know that sucked and didn't work, and you guys are very upset. We understand. We're sorry. We learned our lesson. Backed by gold and silver. Okay, says the sheeple of the world. Okay, just make the pain stop. And those of us who have been stacking precious metals all this time, it could result in the payday of a lifetime, when in fact it was just to protect our financial livelihoods. Anyways, not a pretty chart. Not a pretty chart. Take care.